Welcome back to RPG PhD. I'm Dr. Ben, and today we're diving into one of the most powerful and dangerous forces in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, magic. Whether you wield the raw, untamed power of the winds of magic as a wizard, or call upon the divine strength of your god as a blessed priest, this video will guide you through the rules, risks, and rewards of spellcasting in the old world. This is part 4 of our How to Play series, so if you haven't checked out the previous episodes, be sure to watch those first. Now, grab your grimoires, say your prayers, and let's unleash some magic. Magic in the Empire of Warhammer Fantasy is a force both feared and revered. Before the establishment of the colleges of magic in Altdorf, spellcasters were reviled outlaws, and though magic is now legal within its colleges, its practitioners remain distrusted by common folk. Magic is drawn from the Aether, an unstable dimension beyond the physical world from which the winds of magic flow into the mortal realm. These winds splinter into 8 distinct colors, each studied by a specific college: light, metal, life, heavens, shadow, death, fire, and beasts. While humans are limited to channeling a single wind, the elves, who originally taught magic to humanity, are capable of wielding multiple winds, leading to the powerful practice of high magic. However, reckless manipulation of multiple winds can result in the dangerous and corrupting force known as dark magic, often associated with chaos and necromancy. The winds of magic vary in nature, from Hish, the light wind associated with wisdom and banishing darkness, to Akshai, the fire wind wielded by bold pyromancers. Wizards of the Empire harness these energies using the language of magic, a system taught by the elves, though some witches and sorcerers outside the colleges develop their own methods. Certain races, such as dwarves, possess natural resistance to magic and disdain its use, while others, like elves and shamans of the old world, wield it instinctively. Magic also has a dark side. Warpstone, a crystallized form of raw magic, is highly volatile and corrupts all it touches, making it a prized yet dangerous resource for chaos worshippers and Skaven. Beyond the sanctioned colleges, outlawed magical traditions persist, such as hedgecraft, a folk magic used by rural healers, and witchcraft, a more chaotic and dangerous practice, often leading to corruption. Witch hunters relentlessly pursue unsanctioned spellcasters, fearing the dangers of uncontrolled magic. While magic remains a powerful tool in the Empire, its risks are ever present, with every spell cast carrying the potential for disaster. Playing a spellcaster in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay involves understanding the intricacies of magic, its dangers, and its rewards. Understanding second sight. Before you can wield magic effectively, you must understand how you perceive it. The second sight talent allows you to sense the winds of magic in unique ways. Each caster experiences the winds differently, whether through sight, smell, or touch. You may use second sight with skills like intuition, perception, or track to detect magical influences. However, this sense is always active, meaning the game master may roll secret tests to reveal magical presences, even when you're unaware. Knowing your spells. There are 4 types of spells. Petty spells, these are minor magical tricks that require little energy. Arcane spells, these are generic spells that any trained magician can learn. And then lore spells, specific to a particular wind of magic, the fire, shadows, etc. And then chaos spells, these are forbidden and extremely dangerous, often leading to corruption. To memorize a spell, you must spend XP to learn it permanently. Otherwise, spells must be cast from a grimoire, which makes the spell harder to cast. Casting a spell. To cast a spell, roll a language magic test. If your success level meets or exceeds the casting number of the spell, it succeeds. If you fail, the spell fizzles out with no effect. If you roll a critical success, you can choose between critical cast, inflicting a critical wound if the spell does damage, total power, the spell is cast regardless of the roll but can be dispelled, and unstoppable force, a successful spell cannot be dispelled. Managing miscasts. Magic is unstable, and failures can have dire consequences. If you roll a critical failure or fumble your roll, you must roll on the miscast table. Minor miscast effects range from harmless, all milk nearby spoils, to annoying, glowing brightly for several rounds, to dangerous, bleeding from the eyes, gaining corruption, or your clothes tangling you up. Major miscasts, these are severe magical mishaps, may result in terrifying consequences, such as hearing whispers from chaos that tempt corruption. spewing uncontrollably for several rounds, being flung through the air or floating uncontrollably, exploding from magical backlash if no other targets are available. These miscasts add to the tension and unpredictability of spellcasting. Using channeling to strengthen or cast spells, some spells require more power than ambient magic can provide. You can channel magic by rolling a channeling test. If your accumulated success level meets the spell's casting number, you can cast it next round with no casting number penalty. If you critically channel, you immediately cast the spell, but risk a minor miscast. If you fumble while channeling, you also suffer a major miscast. Interruptions, such as taking damage, can disrupt channeling, forcing a cool test to maintain focus. Dispelling magic. You can counter an enemy spell by rolling an opposed language magic test against their casting roll. Winning the test nullifies the spell. Using spell components. Using magical ingredients can reduce the risk of miscasts. A major miscast is downgraded to minor. A minor miscast is negated entirely. However, components are usually expensive and must be assigned to specific spells in advance. Spellcasting and combat. Magic follows specific combat rules. Magic missiles use reversed casting dice to determine the hit location. Touch spells require an opposed melee brawling test if the target resists, and overcasting. For every 2 success levels above the required casting number, you can increase the spell's range, duration, or number of targets. The risk of warpstone. Warpstone, a material infused with pure chaos, because it basically is pure chaos, greatly enhances magic, but at a steep cost. Using it doubles success levels for casting and channeling, but exposes the caster to severe corruption and mutation. Managing multiple lores. Elves can learn multiple lores based on their willpower bonus. Humans are restricted to 1 lore, but can learn dark magic if they risk corruption. Dark magic, Dahar, is powerful but dangerous. Practitioners must avoid becoming twisted by its influence. Dealing with magical turbulence. Magic is unpredictable. Before scene, the GM may roll a d10 to determine the strength of the winds of magic. So there might be a minus 30 modifier if magic is nearly absent, or it could be a plus 30 modifier, which means that magic is surging in the area and it makes casting easier. This mechanic ensures that spellcasting remains dynamic. Some other notes. Armor hinders spellcasting, and metal armor disrupts most magic. Spells do not stack, only the highest bonuses or penalties apply, and you must see your target to cast a spell unless the spell says otherwise. So now let's go for a step-by-step example. We're going to cast Push while under attack, and we're going to deal with interruptions. So Magister Artemis, a bright wizard, is trapped in a narrow alleyway by 2 bandits wielding daggers. He needs to channel the winds of magic to cast Push, knocking them away to escape. However, the bandits are attacking him, making it harder to concentrate. So first, let's determine attributes for all the characters. So Magister Artemis is a bright wizard. His willpower is 45. His willpower bonus is 4. His language magic skill is 65. He has a channeling skill of 50, a cool skill of 45. His toughness bonus is 3. He has 12 wounds and no armor. The 2 bandits are both armed with daggers, damage plus 4. They have a weapon skill of 50, a toughness bonus of 3. They have 10 wounds and they have light leather armor, which is 1 armor point. Channeling the winds of magic, since Push has a casting number of 6, Artemis must channel magic to gather enough energy before casting. So, round 1, he gains initiative and his channeling attempt. His roll is a 42, that's plus 1 success level, so he's got 1 success level stored. Now the bandits attack. Each bandit attacks with a weapon skill of 50%. Bandit 1 rolls 33, which is a success, and Bandit 2 rolls a 74, which is a miss. Artemis attempts to dodge. He rolls a 60, and he fails. The first bandit hits Artemis with a dagger and does 6 points of damage. His toughness bonus is 3. It reduces the damage by 3. Artemis takes 3 wounds, with 9 wounds left. But now he has to make an interruption check. Since he took damage, he must pass a hard minus 20 cool test. He rolls a 45 and fail. Artemis loses all the stored energy that he has so far and suffers a minor miscast. Rolling on the minor miscast table, he hears fell whispers, which means he must pass a routine plus 20 willpower test or gain 1 corruption point. He rolls his willpower, success, and he avoids corruption. Trying again on round 2, despite the setback, Artemis tries to channel again. This time he rolls a 12. That's a success, plus 3 success levels. He's now halfway there, but the bandits attack again. Bandit 1 rolls 29, a success. Bandit 2 rolls a 65, a miss. Artemis attempts to dodge and fails. So, Bandit 1 hits Artemis again with a dagger for 7 points of damage. His toughness bonus 3 reduces it to 4 damage. Artemis now has 5 wounds left. This time he attempts to make his interruption check. Again, he makes a hard -20, cool test, 19 success, no loss of channeling progress. On the final round, the final channeling attempt, Artemis keeps his focus and channels again. This time he gets +3 successes. Now he has enough to cast the spell on the next round. On the bandit's turn, both of them miss. And at the top of the next round, round 4, he has gathered enough success levels, enough energy to match the casting number of 6, so he casts Push by rolling a language magic skill test. He succeeds with +2 degrees of success. All creatures within 4 yards are pushed back by 4 yards and knocked prone. Since Artemis rolled +2 success level, he pushes him back another 4 yards. Since they're in a narrow alley, they slam into the walls behind them. Damage taken equals distance pushed, which is 8 yards, which means 8 damage. Toughness bonus is 3 plus 1 armor, that's 4. So they both take 4 damage each. And both bandits are knocked prone, struggling to get up. Now Artemis must decide escape while the bandits are down or press the attack. Religion is deeply woven into the fabric of the old world, shaping politics, daily life, and power structures. From grand temples in bustling cities to modest roadside shrines, faith plays a critical role in society. Clerics range from wealthy, influential figures to humble village priests, while militant orders of Templar knights serve their gods independently of noble rule, often causing political tension. The Empire's pantheon consists of 3 major groups: the old gods, primal deities of war, nature, fertility, the sea, and death; the classical gods, introduced through trade from southern lands favoring wisdom, strategy, mercy, and trickery; and provincial gods, localized deities worshipped by specific towns or trades. Towering above them all is Sigmar, the Empire's legendary founder turned god, whose cult wields immense power, sometimes rivaling that of the Emperor himself. Dwarfs revere their ancestor gods and honor their clan founders as guardian spirits. Elves worship an extensive pantheon split between the benevolent and the self-serving, with high elves emphasizing celestial gods and wood elves maintaining a balance between all. Halflings, in contrast, have a more practical and superstitious approach to religion, revering gods tied to hearth, home, and simple pleasures, while also paying respect to human deities like Sigmar and Raya to avoid conflict. Lurking in the shadows, the Chaos gods, Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh, are the greatest existential threat to the old world. These dark entities thrive on rage, decay, ambition, and excess, corrupting mortals through secretive cults that infiltrate every level of society. The mere study of chaos is punishable by death, and even whispers of their true names invite peril. While many dismiss chaos worship as madness, its insidious influence cannot be ignored, for when its followers unite, the old world trembles. Religious institutions are organized into cults and holy orders, each with unique traditions and influence. The Grand Conclave, established by Emperor Magnus the Pious, brings together the Empire's 10 primary cults to prevent sectarian strife. Holy sites, from magnificent temples to humble roadside shrines, dot the land, and prayers offered at these locations may sometimes be answered in mysterious ways. Whether through divine favor or dark corruption, faith is an undeniable force that shapes the destiny of the old world. So let's take a look at playing a blessed priest in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Blessed priests are individuals granted divine favor, capable of performing blessings and miracles through prayer. However, divine power comes with great responsibility. If a priest strays from their deity's teachings, they risk accumulating sin points and incurring the wrath of the gods. So let's take a step-by-step guide to playing a character who wields divine power. In order to cast and play a blessed character, you must have one of the following talents. Bless. This grants access to minor blessings, subtle divine interventions, and Invoke, which allows for powerful miracles, overt manifestations of divine power. If your character is blessed, they will often be addressed with their divine title. For example, a Sigmarite priest named Anna, who has been granted divine favor, might be called Blessed Anna, Sister of Sigmar. Praying for blessings and miracles. When you wish to call upon your god, you must perform a pray test. You declare the blessing or miracle you're invoking, you make a pray test. On a success, the divine power manifests according to the description. On a failure, your god does not answer. On a fumble, which is a critical failure, you must roll on the wrath of the god's table. The higher your success levels, the stronger your effect. Every +2 success levels allows you to increase the range by 6 yards, increase the number of targets by 1, or increase the duration by 6 rounds. However, if the blessing or miracle has instant duration, you cannot extend it. Limitations of prayers. You must speak aloud to perform a prayer. You cannot stack multiple copies of the same prayer. 2 blessings of finesse don't stack. If a blessing or miracle is already active, you must wait for it to end before using it again. Additionally, the GM may impose penalties if you fail to perform the prayer confidently and loudly. Gods demand devotion, not whispers. Avoiding sin points. Sin points represent divine disfavor. You accumulate them when you act against your God's will, such as breaking the commandments of your God, acting selfishly when you should serve others, or behaving dishonorably or cowardly, depending on the God. For example, a Myrmidian priest who must honor warriors in strategy might deny a prisoner water and gain 1 sin point, which is a minor infraction, torture a helpless captive, which is 2 sin points, a major infraction, or murder a sentenced enemy, would be +3 sin points, which would be a serious infraction. The more sin points you have, the more likely your God will punish you when you call upon their power. Dealing with sin and divine wrath. If you attempt to pray while carrying sin points, you risk divine retribution. When making a pray test, if the unit's die is equal to or lower than your sin points, you suffer wrath of the gods. If you fumble a pray test, you must roll in the wrath of the gods table also. Your sin points increase the severity of your punishment, +10 to the roll per sin point. So here's some example wrath effects. Mild wrath. Your prayers are weakened, reducing effectiveness. Moderate wrath. Your God refuses to answer your prayers for a period of time. Or severe wrath. You suffer physical pain, blindness, or wounds as punishment. Or extreme wrath. Your God forsakes you entirely, stripping you of your divine power. Redeeming yourself, removing sin points. To atone for your sins, you can go on a pilgrimage to a holy site, make a significant offering to your God, perform a great deed in alignment with your God's values, and you can roll a pray test to seek forgiveness, though failure may anger your God further. You can complete a penance, a task imposed by your deity. Until atonement is achieved, sin points remain and continue to put you at risk. So we're going to look at a step-by-step example. We're going to cast the miracle Soulfire as a priest of Sigmar. So Father Reinhardt, a blessed priest of Sigmar, and his allies are besieged in a ruined chapel by a group of greenskins and chaos cultists. As they advance, Reinhardt raises his warhammer high and calls upon Sigmar's divine wrath to smite the enemies of the Empire with Soulfire. So first, let's take a look at the attributes for Father Reinhardt. He has a fellowship of 50, which is his primary casting stat. He has a praise skill of 65. He's got the invoke talent, which allows castings of miracle. He has 1 advantage, and he has no sin points. He's in good standing with Sigmar. He declares the miracle. He raises his hammer, reciting the litany of Sigmar's wrath, calling upon his God to smite the unholy foes. Reinhardt rolls a pray test. He rolls a 28. Since Soulfire grants extra power for every +2 success levels, Reinhardt can enhance the effect. He can increase the damage. He can give +2 extra damage to greenskin, undead, or chaos servants. Soulfire does 1d10 wounds, ignoring armor and toughness. He rolls 8, and so 8 damage to all enemies in range, with +2 damage to any greenskins and chaos followers. And that wraps up our deep dive into arcane and divine magic in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Whether you're a battle-hardened wizard harnessing the winds of magic or a blessed priest channeling the will of the gods, spellcasting is both powerful and perilous, so use it wisely. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out the rest of our How to Play series to get fully equipped for your next adventure. And if you have any questions or favorite spellcasting moments, drop them in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time.